To transform your life, you really need ideas. Ideas have the power to change anything. The main issue is often not having an idea. When I initially told Mr. Shoaf that I didn't have any money, he responded, "That's not the problem." Until then, I always thought it was, so I was confused. He explained, "No, the problem is not lacking money, it's lacking ideas on how to create money and wealth." So, if you have the ideas, you can change anything. To get ideas, you need to constantly study and explore. Shoaf also mentioned, when you discover something that works, write it down in your notebook. Don't rely on your memory, write it down so you can do the next best thing, repetition, repetition, repetition. Review it, and then review it again. Eventually, at some mysterious moment, the idea will take hold, start to grow, and manifest in your bank account, your appearance, your personality, and your lifestyle. Our lives are mostly shaped by our thoughts. Reality is often influenced by how we perceive it, which impacts us the most. Poor thinking habits are what usually keep most people in poverty, not poor working habits. Many people work hard, but they don't think hard. Think of your mind as a factory, a mental factory, where whatever you think about all day long contributes ingredients. Imagine if you dumped a barrel of trash into this mental factory every day, could you come out with a rich, dynamic, positive life? It's impossible. You get to decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anyone dump whatever they want into your mental factory, because you'll have to live with the results. So, starting tomorrow, what are you going to do to change the direction of your life? It's a good question to consider. What will you do tomorrow that will make a difference? If you don't start something tomorrow that will make a difference, then things will stay the same. And if that happens, you can predict what the next 5 years will be like. Just look at the last 5 years, because the next 5 will likely be similar unless you make a significant change tomorrow or change something, even if it's small. It's decision time. You have the freedom to choose what you want to do. What action can you take starting tomorrow that will have an impact? Just like when you plant a garden, pests and weeds will try to ruin it, and you must learn not only to nurture your values, but also to fight against anything that threatens you. I'm telling you, stand up to your responsibilities, but don't let anyone push you around. If someone is trying to ruin your chances for a better future with their negative attitude or pessimistic comments, I suggest you walk away if necessary. Stand up to whatever threatens you. Stand up to anything that threatens your opportunities. Some of our adversaries are external, but the most crucial ones are internal. Let me list them quickly. Apathy. You need to confront your own apathy. Here's why discipline matters: all disciplines influence each other. Here's a wise saying: everything is connected. Nothing exists in isolation. Don't be fooled into thinking that something doesn't have an impact. I'm telling you, everything has significance. Some things are more important than others, but nothing is insignificant. We all sympathize with someone who says, "This is the only area where I'm not doing well." That's not true. It affects every aspect of your life. Every setback affects everything else. This is part of learning how to improve yourself. If you skip the small steps like taking a walk around the block, you're likely to skip other healthy habits like eating an apple a day. If you skip those habits, you probably won't start building good habits like reading books regularly or keeping a journal. And if you neglect those habits, you won't make wise choices with your money, time, or relationships. Eventually, years will pass, and you'll realize you've made mistakes. So, the key to turning things around is to start adopting these habits now. Here's the positive side: each new habit you develop will positively impact your other habits. Every new action impacts the others. That's why even the smallest action matters. Start with one action, because when you see the value it brings, it will motivate you to take the next step, and then the next, and so on. For example, if you start by taking a walk around the block, it might inspire you to eat an apple. Eating an apple might motivate you to read a book, which could then inspire you to start journaling. As you develop these habits, they will influence each other positively. Every absence of action affects the others. Every new action affects the others too. The key is to reduce the lack and introduce new actions, which will kickstart a positive cycle in your life. Additionally, here's another point about discipline: its greatest benefit is building self-worth and self-esteem. While people talk a lot about self-esteem these days, they often overlook the connection to discipline. Even the smallest lack of discipline can harm our mindset. It's tempting to slack off just a bit, isn't it? But even a slight decrease in effort can start to wear down our mindset. Instead of giving our best, we settle for just a little less. And that affects more than just our performance, it impacts our outlook on life. You might think it only affects your sales or your work, but it actually affects your whole way of thinking. The problem with neglecting even the smallest things is that it can grow into something much bigger. Neglect is like an infection. If you don't deal with it, it can turn into a serious problem. And when we neglect one thing, it often leads to neglecting other important areas of our lives. The worst part is, neglecting things can make us feel less valuable and less confident in ourselves. You might wonder, how can I regain my self-respect? Well, you don't need to take dozens of classes for that. All you need to do is start with a small discipline that aligns with your own beliefs. Tell yourself, I should, I could, and I will. No longer will I allow neglect to pile up and lead to regrets in the future. That's the key to discipline. Let's encourage children to start with small disciplines, one at a time, and then add more as they go along. Before you know it, you'll begin to build a disciplined life where you can incorporate more wisdom, attitude, strong feelings, faith, and courage. Now, you have a foundation to hold them, and you'll start to see early results and rewards. If you start this process, the initial rewards will excite you so much that you'll commit to this strategy for life. You won't go back to your old habits. Surround yourself with new people, new groups, and take action on these disciplines. Last time, I recommended the book Richest Man in Babylon. Over the past 33 years, I've spoken to over 3 million people and suggested this book to almost all of them. Can you guess how many actually got the book? The answer is very few. My estimate would be around 10%. It's such a simple thing to do. In the last seminar, I suggested this little book. Firstly, it's easy to find. Secondly, it's easy to buy. It's not expensive, maybe $6, $7, or $8 at most. You can even borrow that from your kids. But if it's easy to find, easy to buy, and easy to read, why wouldn't everyone get it? 90% don't or won't. We don't understand the mystery behind that. And I'm telling you, 10 years from now, those numbers will remain the same. 10% will, 90% won't. The numbers don't change, only the faces change. Now, here's the key to discipline. Start with the small disciplines. Get excited about the little disciplines and focus on them, because they will lead to the bigger ones. You can't tackle the big challenges in life if you don't handle the small ones first. Make a list of all the things you can accomplish and start working on them. Discipline yourself for these tasks, both for the results and for the practice, so that when life throws big challenges your way, you'll be prepared. I became wealthy by the age of 31. Here's the best advice I can give to my teenage friends. It was simple. Can you believe it? It was not difficult? No, it was easy. I became a millionaire by 31. Let me explain how I achieved it. I have 3 reasons why I became wealthy by the time I was 31. Let me share those reasons with you. Living in America made it easy for me. I mean, how fortunate can you be? America is simple. That's why everyone wants to come here. People haven't spent 50 years dreaming and planning, thinking, if only I could reach Poland, everything would be fine. No, no. The boat people aren't desperately trying to get back to Vietnam. They're not sneaking through fences to enter Mexico. As Neil Diamond sings, looks like everybody's heading for they're all coming to America. Why? Because America is straightforward. So, if you take anything away from this, remember that America is easy. Bangladesh is tough. Keep that in mind. Let me give you an example. The average yearly income in Bangladesh is $120. That's tough. Contrasted with that, America is easy. Cambodia would be a tough place to live. The Khmer Rouge killed 2 million Cambodians to enforce communism. That's hard. America is easy. India faces its own challenges these days. America's still easy. And in about 90 days, you could remember all of this. Tell me if that's all you need. I became wealthy by the time I was 31. I lived in America. America is simple. Now, here's the second reason: I found an opportunity. All you need to do in America is search for an opportunity. Grab the first one you find. If it doesn't work out, move on to the next. When one opportunity closes, another one opens. That's the exciting thing about America, it's filled with chances. You get to try, and if it doesn't work, try again. And keep trying. There's always an opportunity to improve your life, your health, your future, your bank account, and your income. I lived in America. Reason number 1, I found an opportunity. Reason number 2, I found a teacher. This was a wonderful and unique thing for me at that time. I found a teacher who was willing to guide me. His teaching had 2 simple parts. First, he told me that I had made mistakes between ages 19 and 25. But he didn't leave me there. He gave me the answers on how to change things in the next 6 years, so they wouldn't be like the last 6. What an amazing teacher! He showed me how to have a whole new 6 years. The first 6 were where I went wrong, and the second 6, I got it right. In those second 6 years, I became a millionaire. During those second 6 years, everything else stayed pretty much the same. The government, interest rates, pay scales, my negative relatives, circumstances, the economy, and even the unions and their philosophy remained unchanged. But I was different. I changed. You might ask, well, if you could do it, can anyone do it? Yes, I encourage you to embark on that journey. You can choose to remain the same, and if you do, the next 6 years will likely be just like the last 6. Take a look at the last 6 years of your life, and unless you want more of the same, you'll have to rely on the limited options we call not much. Most people are counting on this not much list. What if all your negative relatives became positive? How would that impact your future and your wealth? Not a lot. What if you changed yourself? It wouldn't change much. If prices dropped a bit, how would it affect your future? Not significantly. If the economy improved slightly, what difference would it make? Not much. Now that the Democrats are in power, how will it shape your future? Not a lot. We could debate the impact of Republicans staying in power, but ultimately, it wouldn't change much. It's all on the not much list. If you don't make your own plans, you'll likely just fit into someone else's plans. And what might they have planned for you? Then what will make the difference? You will have to make the difference. You have to take charge. Now, Mr. Shoaf, my teacher, made me a promise, and I want to share that promise with you now. Here's the promise I received, and I pass it on to you. This is what my teacher told me: if you change, Mr. Rohn, he said, if you change, everything will change for you. You don't need to change the government, prices, taxes, or any of that, he said. If you change, everything will change for you. And the first thing to change is what? Your philosophy. You begin by changing your mindset. You start altering how you think. You begin to embrace new ideas and knowledge, gather new information, and make better decisions about what's important. And I assure you, if you do that, your entire life will change. Your health will improve. Your relationships with your family will improve. Your ability to handle challenges and problems will improve. I'm telling you, your income, promotions, everything will change if you change. Everything will change. If you refuse to change, nothing will change. You can hope and wish all you want for things to improve on their own, but hoping for luck to change things in your favor is unrealistic. Don't rely on luck anymore. Instead, wish for the wisdom to make better decisions and adapt to whatever circumstances come your way. That's the philosophy I embraced at age 25, and it completely transformed my life. And you know what? It was achievable. I became wealthy by the time I was 31, and it wasn't as hard as you might think. Now, let me clarify what I mean by easy. My definition of easy is something that's doable. If it's something you can accomplish, then it's easy. Sure, I put in a lot of hard work during those 6 years, but what I did was within my capabilities, which made it easy for me. Why didn't everyone else around you get rich during those 6 years if it was so easy for you? Well, here's the truth, it's easy not to. That's the simple explanation. You might argue, but for them, it was hard, and for you, it was easy. That's not accurate. You couldn't convince me otherwise, especially in front of this smart audience. But here's the thing to understand, the actions that lead to success are just as easy to do as they are not to do. That's the crucial difference between success and failure. So today, you have a choice between two easies, doing what's easy to do or doing what's easy not to do. I can sum up how I became wealthy by age 31 in one sentence. I consistently did the easy tasks I could do every day for 6 years without fail. The key factor was not neglecting these tasks. The primary reason why many people don't achieve what they desire in America, whether it's better health, more money, more influence, or anything else, is simple: neglect. Neglect starts small, but can grow into a serious problem if not addressed. Additionally, neglecting one aspect of your life often leads to neglect in other areas. For instance, if you neglect to make wise financial decisions, you're likely to neglect other important aspects of your life, such as managing your time effectively. If you neglect to manage your time wisely, chances are you'll also neglect important aspects of your business. One neglect often leads to another, creating a chain reaction. Before you know it, neglect can have a detrimental impact on your finances, emotions, and opportunities for success. For example, if you should be taking a daily walk for your health but don't, you're heading down the wrong path. It's something you should do and could do, but if you don't, it's a recipe for disaster. All you need to do is let that and a few other things build up for 6 years, and soon you'll find yourself driving a car you don't like, wearing clothes you don't like, living in a place you don't like, doing things you don't like, and maybe even becoming someone you didn't want to be. It's all because of neglect, just drifting along without direction, and before you know it, it's got you in its grip. It will take away all that you value, leaving you with nothing but a bit of dust in the wind, and it will soon disappear. That's exactly where I found myself at age 25 until my teacher came along and told me, "Mr. Rohn, up until now, you've messed up. Let's try to fix that, change everything." I did change my life. Not just the money. All the other good things that came when I realized it was me. It was me. So take the simple route. This stuff's easy to understand. Getting rich is easy. I teach it to teenagers. How to be rich by 40, 35 if you're really smart. This stuff isn't hard.